For decades, U.S. support for Israel has been treated as a geopolitical constant, immune to public opinion, bipartisan in Washington, and rooted in Cold War logic. But something is shifting. Since the Hamas attacks on October 7, 2023, and the brutal Israeli campaign in Gaza that followed, American public opinion has undergone a dramatic transformation. For the first time in over 2 decades, less than half of Americans say they support Israel. A growing number now sympathize with Palestinians, particularly young people, progressives, and even segments of the Republican base. President Biden's initial response was staunch support. Over $18 billion in military aid was sent to Israel. But this unwavering stance sparked backlash among his own voters. Protests erupted. Biden was labeled Genocide Joe by demonstrators, many of them Arab Americans in swing states. The political cost was real. Meanwhile, Donald Trump, now back in office, has doubled down. In February 2025, he pledged U.S. cooperation in retaking Gaza and expelling its Palestinian population, policies that openly defy international law. He's also targeting foreign students accused of anti-Semitism or support for Hamas, using deportation as a political weapon. What once looked like a solid, bipartisan consensus is beginning to crumble. The cracks are generational. Among Americans under 30, more sympathize with Palestinians than with Israelis. Even among Republicans under 49, favorable views of Israel are declining. Jewish American opinion is also shifting, with younger generations increasingly uncomfortable with Netanyahu's hardline government. Europe is watching. EU leaders, long sidelined in Middle East diplomacy, now see an opening. If U.S. public support continues to erode, Washington may no longer have the domestic mandate to give Israel a blank check. That could leave a vacuum, one Europe might try to fill. Israel's decision to reoccupy parts of Gaza adds urgency. Over 90% of Gaza's population has been displaced. More than 50,000 Palestinians are reported dead. Humanitarian agencies warn of catastrophe. European leaders are quietly but increasingly critical. The United States has been Israel's most powerful ally since 1948. But history reminds us that alliances are not written in stone. They evolve. And now, with shifting demographics, social media activism, and mounting war fatigue, the American-Israeli relationship faces questions it hasn't had to answer in generations. Will Washington remain unconditionally supportive, or are we witnessing the beginning of a historic realignment? For Europe, the question is no longer whether to speak, but whether it's ready to lead.